So most of the time in dealing with worksheets, it's going to be sufficient just to share this with somebody on a network drive or to share it over a screen share or even email the workbook back and forth. But there's going to be times where you want to do a printout of a worksheet. In this lesson, we're going to explore many of the different ways to prepare your worksheet to print out in the best way possible. So for starters, let's just go see what it looks like. I'm going to go here and click on the File menu, which brings us to the Backstage tab. And then let's go to Print. And there's some of the print options here that we'll get to in another lesson. But over on the right is a print preview. This is what it's going to look like. If we just hit print right now and go, this is what the workbook will look like when we print it. So right now you can see at the bottom, I'm on page 1 out of 11. It's going to print 11 pages. And as I start using the arrows to go to the next page, I can see what's going to print out on every page. One of the things that's interesting is I'm printing out some blank pages. And there's some text down here in row 320. And then it prints out some other columns. So it's not fitting very well, and we've got a lot of extra stuff we don't want printing. So let's go back and see if we can take care of a couple of those. So the first thing we want to do is make it not print out all those blank pages. So if I scroll down here and I go to the bottom, there's a cell down here with some text in it. And if you don't tell Excel exactly what you want it to print, it's going to try to print everything on the worksheet. So we want to set that print area. Let's go back up to the top. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that top row and then use my keyboard, Control Shift and down arrow to select that whole table and the title. And then underneath the page layout menu, I'm going to go to print area and I'm going to set the print area. And that's going to keep it from printing out all those extra pages. Now when we go over there, it's printing one page of 8. So as I go through, every page has information on it. So what's something else we might want to fix? Well, on this first page, we get the column headers. It tells us what each column is. But as I go through the printout pages, it's not there on the other pages. So let's fix that. And I don't think we really want to see this button when we print it out either. So the first thing we'll take care of is the column headers repeating on each page. This is going to be what's called a print title, and it's columns or rows that you'll have repeating on every page that prints out. So let's go ahead and set that. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the row of column headings, and then I'm going to go to my print titles command, click that, and rows to repeat at top. I'll click there, and I can just actually click on row 3. You can have multiple rows as print titles. But we're just going to go with one row because we want that to be the column headers. And then columns to repeat at the left. We don't have any, so we're not even going to do that. And from here, I can actually go right to print preview and see what that looks like. So now I've got column headers here. If I scroll down a page, that's better. I've got column headers up there because I set my print titles. All right, let's go back and let's see if we can get rid of that button now. So let me click on the button and I'll right click it and go to Format Shape. And if I go to the Shapes properties, there's a checkbox here that says Print Object. So this is really cool. I can take that check off and now it won't print, but it will stay on my worksheet. Let's check that out. Button's gone. So now let's take care of the grid lines and the column headings. We've got column headings in our worksheet for what the data is, so we don't need A, B, C, D, E, F, and we don't need the row headings either. So let's go back, and on our page layout ribbon, over about 3/4 of the way over, we've got sheet options. And we've got grid lines, and you see there's 2 options we can do. We can have grid lines viewing or not, but we can also have a separate checkbox if we wanted to print out or not. And we don't want grid lines to print out. We're going to trust the formatting we put on our table. And then headings, same thing. We don't want them to print out. So let's go back and look at that. Getting better. We don't have the row and column headings and there's no grid lines. We still have pages carrying over to another set of pages and it just doesn't look right. Let's see what we can do to fix that. The first thing we're going to try is to try to set the orientation. So right now, and by default, Excel is going to print in a vertical format or what's known as portrait. And that's up and down. So that's what's on now. I can switch that to landscape, and what that's going to do is allow us to have more columns but fewer rows per page. So I've set it to landscape. And let me go back here. And I've got a couple more columns, but I don't think I got them all. And now it's 6 pages long. And I go to the next one. Yep, there's 2 more columns there. Well, one of the options we could do is we could come back to our spreadsheet and try to adjust our columns, make them smaller, maybe hide one or something. But we don't even need to do that. Let's go over here to the File menu and go to Print again. And we're going to look at one of the other options here. Down at the bottom is scaling. And right now there's no scaling. It's going to print at actual size. If I click this drop down here, I can choose the fit sheet on 1 page. Click that. That's no good. Everything's on 1 page, but it's not really readable. So let me go ahead and click that again. And how about just fit all the columns to 1 page? So what this does is this reduces your spreadsheet as much as it needs to fit all the columns to make it 1 page wide. And now look, I've only got 4 pages. So if I scroll through these, Excel automatically scaled it down to fit on 1 page wide. Now you can do multiple pages wide. If you go to custom scaling options, you can really get a little bit more discrete. And you see here, it actually adjusted it to 77% of the normal size. You can go here and adjust that too. But the Fit To is the better option for this. And we're going to keep it at landscape. And we'll click OK. And now the last thing that we're going to look at is we're just going to look at the page break view. So remember, I'll go to the View menu there, go to Page Break Preview, and let's just see where the page is going to break. So right now, it's coming down here, and it's got page break between dried apples and rice. And down here, we've got crab meat and clam chowder. And then we've got in the middle of chocolate biscuits. Let's put a couple in here. So let's say we want to keep the crab meat with the clam chowder. So we could just go here and insert our page break. And then if I scroll down here, I want to keep all the chocolate biscuit mixed together too. So I'll do one more page break there. And scroll down. And let me go back to my normal view. I'll go down here to do that. And let's do a print preview. Now this looks really good. This is ready to print. I've gotten rid of the grid lines, the headers. I've made it all fit on 1 page. I got rid of the button. So we've set it up to print out nicely, and it only took a couple of minutes. All right, well, let's get ready for the next lesson.